Okay, so good afternoon. I'm going to walk you through entering in a contact and an account in our new ZOHO software. So we're starting from my home screen here. You have contacts and you have accounts, and you can click on either one of those in order to access it. Or if you just want to add in information, you can click this plus button and add in a lead, contact, or an account or a deal in this particular component. So we're going to start with a contact. I'm going to walk you through how I can create an individual contact that's not associated with an account. I can add a contact in and attach it to an account that's already in there, or I can create an account and then add contacts to that account. So there's multiple ways for it to communicate between one another. So let's just start with a simple account. A simple contact. Right now, this is where I can create a contact and attach it to an existing account name. So by clicking on that, it lists all the current account names that are in the system, which there's only a handful of them so far. And I can attach it to a particular company. So in this case, I'm not going to attach it to an account. I'll show you that in a moment. But let's just say I'm putting in a particular person. Let's say it's Mrs. Linda Johnson. Okay, and let's say that she is just a private individual. She's just buying a vehicle from us, and she's not associated with any particular company. So we'll put in her email address as ljohnson@gmail.com, except I can't spell. Okay, and then the phone number we'll put in 334-964. Okay, the lead source will tell me how I got the information. So let's say I just got this as a cold call. Okay, and then I can put a mobile phone number if I want to. The fleet size is not necessary. That would be indicated for a larger company that we're trying to designate between a very small company that has 4 or 5 vehicles to one that has 20 to 30 or 100 plus or so on and so forth. Then you can put in the street information and address information if you have it. If not, you can leave that blank. You don't need to put that in order to get a contact generated. And then down here, I can put some basic notes. So in my emails I sent you earlier, I can generate a contact just to get the ball rolling. I've moved them out of that lead status. They are somewhat interested, but let's say Linda Johnson wants to purchase one in March when she gets her tax return back. So I don't need to do anything with Miss Johnson yet. I'm not creating a deal for her yet. All I'm doing is putting her in so I can follow up with this customer later. So let's just put in some notes and say, follow up with Mrs. Johnson on March 1st about a Dodge Caravan long cut after she receives money from her tax return. Okay, so now that that's in there, I can update this and make sure it's all spelled right. Now I can save and add another one, so I can do a whole bunch back to back, or I can just hit save. Okay, so now if I hit save, it comes up and it lists her in there as a contact. So here's where I can put additional notes if I choose. Okay, so I can put notes in there. I can attach details in here. If you remember in the little tutorial I showed, we can copy and paste information about her specifically. So let's say if I had photos of different things she's looking for or different items that she wanted to have in particular, I can add them there. So when I do follow up with her later on March 1st, that I have the information there, because I won't remember the things I've discussed with Miss Johnson, 2 months from now if I don't put any information in. If I had any deals associated to this customer, it will show up here, but I can add a deal right in here without having to leave my contact page and go into deals. I can do it right from here. This is where I'd like to put in my new event, my new phone call, or my new task. So in this case, I'd like to put in a new event, and I want to follow up with her on March 1st. So I'm going to put up follow-up call, and this is where I'm going to follow up with her. The location, I don't need to. We'll make this an online meeting. I can actually go in and make that one of our ZOHO meetings if I want to set it up. But in this case, I'm not going to set a specific time because I'm not establishing a meeting itself. I'm just putting in an event to remind me. Now, I can also put this in as a task. because technically I'm not creating an event. Just thinking about this, I'm just showing you, let's say I want to put an event and I know I'm going to meet with her at a particular time and a particular location. Okay, so let's say I am going to 3413 Haynes Cove, Spring Hill, Tennessee, 37174. This would be an event that I'm setting up to go follow up with her, and we're going to have lunch and discuss it. Okay, so it will be on that day, so I can bounce forward to March 1st, set it up. I'm going to meet her at 12 noon. Okay, and let's say we have a 2-hour lunch meeting discussion, so I can put 2 o'clock. Oops. I have mine set up in military time, so you can set yours up that way, or you can leave it in there as regular time. I will be the host. I can add in the particular information, whether or not whether I want to add her as a participant, which I can, and then it will send her the invite as well, or I can just leave that blank. I can put it on as repeat or whatever I like. Then when I hit save, it will go in and it will be into my calendar and synced on March 1st for me to follow up and go have that meeting with her. Now, in this instance, let's say I don't want to have a meeting with her. I just want to remind myself to make a phone call. Then I would do the task version. So it would be the same thing, call Mrs. Johnson and follow up. So on that day, I change it to the day that I want to follow up right while I'm in this. Don't put in a bunch of contacts and then come back and say what you're going to do with it later. You won't remember. So this is the perfect opportunity to dump all the information you need and then move on. And then you don't have to worry about it for 2 months. You can put a priority in. So right now it's a low priority. It's not a high priority. I can set the reminder so I know exactly when the reminder will come up. So I can set it up for a particular time to alert me via email or pop up on my screen. And that will work just like you do when you do Outlook. And then I can hit save. So now I've given 2 different tasks in here for the same thing, showing you 2 different examples. Okay, so I can call Mrs. Johnson and follow up on that day, and that'll be in my tasks. So that morning it'll pop up and say, hey, call Mrs. Johnson. And you'll go, who's Mrs. Johnson? I don't even remember her. I can click on it and I can go in and say, oh, that's right. Mrs. Johnson was the lady that wanted the Dodge Caravan, and I can call her back and see if she's interested in now purchasing. Or again, I can do this one down here that actually has an appointment set up that I can go into and actually visit later. So in this case, I'm just going to go down. These are your closed activities. So as I go through and I do these steps, I'll be able to go in and update them and close them, and they would show here. So it's keeping a history of everything that you've done. Any invites that you have here, and then any email correspondence that you've had. Now, if I want to send her an email, I can click send email right here and generate an email right through ZOHO without having to go into Outlook and send her a separate email. I can say, hey, I want to follow up with her. I'll send her an invite and say, hey, I just created an invite for our meeting on March 1st. Thank you for your business, and blah, 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 and you can go through. We'll also be able to pull out of this send email component the pre-established templates that we'll be building, so it'll streamline and make things easier for you. Okay, so if you're done with all that, that's the end of the actual contact portion. Now, if I go into accounts, I can either go in this route and search for my particular client, or I can just go in and click new account and generate a new account. So the account works very similar to the contacts, has the same, pretty much the same information. But again, this is an account that has contacts that work for it. So FR Conversions is the account name, Aaron Fee is the contact that works for them. So in this case, I'm going to select the account name or create a new account name. So it could be Aaron's Bus Line. Okay, so that'll be the new account. Now, this can be underneath another larger company. So let's say I have 10 Aaron's Bus Line locations. I could list Aaron's Bus Line in Ohio, and my master parent account can be Aaron's Bus Line. Then I would have the Ohio Aaron's Bus Line. So that allows you to use the parent-child component that we spoke about. You can also paste in their website, their phone number. The vehicle type is just helping us search and narrow down what that customer deals with. So if they deal with multiple items, you can put in more than one. If they're exclusively sell ambulances, then I can put ambulances, and I know that that's who they're working. I'm working with them on. The account type, I can say that they're a dealer. Are they a fleet customer that's buying a lot of vehicles from us, or are they just a one-off consumer? So that'll tell you what level they're at there. Again, the fleet size and all the other information is subjective. You can add that in depending on how big of a company they are, and the annual revenue location, you can put in more details so you can say which ones are, large customers versus small customers. Okay, you can also click on the industry and drop them into any of these fields. So again, if we know they're taxi companies or emergency services, this is used later for us to sort out and help us manage our large number of accounts. So we can say, how many non-emergency companies do we have? How many taxi cab companies do we have? And you can sort them out that way. Okay. Down lower, you'll have your address information and any brief description about what you'd like to do here. Now, once I hit save, I again can go into this and do the same thing I did earlier. So I can add much more notes and add and delete other things. So I can add in, I never put a phone number in. So maybe when I generated this originally, I didn't have a phone number. Now I do. I can assign my territories to it so I know what group of territories they're listed in. Are they in my Ohio territory? Or are they in my Michigan territory? Wherever you want to narrow down your search. You can see the history of everything I've done with this particular account. I can add attachments here with pictures or links to their websites. I can see any deals I have working with this. I can also see the contacts that are associated with Aaron's Bus Line right here. Any activities, which is what we just did with Mrs. Johnson earlier. Any emails that I've sent or I've interacted with that particular account. So these two kind of marry with one another. You just want to understand the difference between an account and a contact. So I'm going to bounce over here and show you one that I've built earlier, which is Melamed. If I click on Melamed, you'll see here's all the information for them, and here are the two contacts that I created in the contact field that I was able to select out of the accounts and associate the two together. So if I can't remember my contact's name because I have 100 contacts in there, I can click at Melamed and go, oh, there's Arthur's information. I can shoot him an email or call him directly from my account page. However, if I go over here into my contacts and I look up Arthur Safarian, who is right here, you'll see he also is associated with that account. Okay, so here's all the emails that I've already emailed to him that have synced up. I did not send those in there today. It has synced up with my email that I have sent through Outlook, and it shows all my interactions that I've had with Arthur Safarian so far. So you can see I didn't do any of this. These automatically link to my account so I can see all my interactions and I can access it from here. Rather than going in and searching through hundreds and hundreds of emails in my Outlook, it recognizes Arthur Safarian's information right here. And then again, it knows that he's an associate of Melamed LLC, so I can hover over it and it gives me their information, or I can click the Melamed and it takes me back here. So as you can see, the accounts and the contacts are linked. Again, the main difference is that not everybody that will have an account, okay, they could just be contacts alone, just by themselves. However, almost all contacts can be associated to an account and vice versa. So you can see the contacts I've added in, the history and all the information here. And that's a brief overview of contacts versus accounts, how they integrate with one another, and then how you can use your shortcut key here in order to add them and then manage everything that you're putting into them. One last thing I will show you in Shaheen here, if I click on him, who's the other contact at that location, if I scroll down to the bottom, you can see all of Shaheen's emails are linked as well. This one shows Arthur, but Shaheen was probably CC'd in, so that's why they're both in there contacted back and forth. So anyway, any questions about this, give me a call, of course, and I will follow up with everybody. And then I'll come out with another one that shows more in-depth detail on how to build leads and how to build deals and how they associate with one another. Thank you.